Hello there, everybody. My name is Ross Pitt Sharkhunter. I'm here with my boy Wizzy Puff.
Or, Whiz Money, as I like to be called now.
Did I say he was my boy? Because I hate him. Wizzy, I am sick of your crap.
But, Papa, I thought I was your boy.
No, no papaing me. No,
Father?
no.
Daddy-o?
No.
Ross?
No.
Not
This
even
joke
Ross?
has gone on far too long. So, I'm sick of Wizzy's crap, and we are going to read a fan fiction.
Darn it, I thought it was just going to be you.
Except it's going to be 2 fan fictions today. The problem with this first fan fiction is there aren't a lot of speaking roles. But I really want to read this fan fiction, so we're going to do it anyways. Whenever there's going to be like a line of dialogue or something, say, written down or whatever, it'll be Wizzy. So, making that right here.
All right. So for today, we will be starting with Red Yellow by the Cloptimist. And if I need reminding...
You know, I really wish I had said that. I really wanted to read out the title.
Fine, go ahead.
And the name of the guy. But no, it's fine, I guess. And if I need reminding. It was dark and it was raining, and Sunset Shimmer realized she was still crying. A car came screeching around the corner, much too fast for the wet conditions, barely making the turn, and Sunset grimaced as it plowed through a huge puddle, the dirty water splashing up in a grim wave, soaking her further from head to toe. She spat the disgusting puddle of water from her lips, used her wet hand to brush a wet lock of hair away from where it had become plastered across her forehead, felt her wet sleeve against her wet face, felt her wet socks squelching in her wet boots. She knew she should be heading home. The house would be dark and empty and cold. And empty. No, empty was no good for her right now. It was probably too late to call her friends. Not that she knew what time it actually was.
Come on, if they're truly your friends, Sunset, you can call them.
Oh, sure, they'd all rush over to help her if she called them up, every one of them, or all together, as soon as they knew what was wrong, maybe even if they didn't know what was wrong.
But some things are too much,
she thought, bracing herself as she heard another car splashing along behind her.
It's not fair to burden the ones you love. Not with this. Not in the middle of the night.
She'd go home soon enough. She just needed some time. Time to think. Time to process. Time to deal. In Equestria, when it rained, it was always one of Sunset's favorite things. Some ponies got sad when the rain came, even when the Pegasi warned them in advance, even when they knew exactly how long they had to wait before the sun came out again. Not Sunset. She loved to go and stand outside, feeling it soak her wet coat, wet her mane, feel the grassy soil softening to mud under her hooves. She'd just stand there and feel oddly safe, like the whole universe was daring her to stay outside and enjoy the show. And the less ponies who joined her, well, they'd just proven themselves to be afraid. But she'd never been afraid, not for as long as she could remember. Her mind would drift back to when she was a filly, sneaking out in a scheduled storm, violating every rule ever drilled into her. Bad things happened to fillies who sneaked out at night. She'd catch a cold. She'd get struck by lightning. She'd get snatched up by a strange stallion and taken to Celestia knows where. She'd slip out in some far-flung field and stumble and break a
Wait,
leg and never be found
Celestia?
until it was too late. Hmm?
Celestia knows where? Is Celestia their god all of a sudden?
Well, it's a whole thing. They do use her name in vain quite a bit in the show. Like, oh
Really?
my Celeste. I guess. They technically kind of worship the sun or something.
Okay.
But
I thought it was
I
like
still don't consider Celestia a god.
I thought it was like how in Pokemon stuff they say like Lugia instead of God or friggin' Arceus. And I hate that.
None of that stuff ever happened to her. She was Sunset Shimmer, and she was awesome. You are damn right about that.
I won't argue with it. Doesn't mean I think she's awesome, but I just, I've yet to meet her.
The filly knows she shouldn't be out here in the rain, in the dark. She's old enough to know better, but she loves this feeling so much. She loves being out in the fields, lost in the tall wheat, just under the sky, out of sight, far from the silo, far from the farmhouse, just breathing in, feeling that air, the smell of wet dirt on the wind. She knows she'll be in trouble if her mom finds out that she's still doing this. Any reason to stop her going out, any way to keep her indoors. Her mom had tried them all out. Guilt, threats, punishment, nights without food, locked doors and windows, none of it scares little Sunset anymore. Now, so long as she's back by morning, she knows things can only get so bad. One day she thinks she'll sneak out at night and never come back again. One day she'll go looking for a real family, blend in among the unicorns. One day she'll find out for herself.
So I'm guessing that this it's not canon her coming from like a broken home with an abusive mom or something.
No. It
Okay.
is not as far as we know.
Just checking.
The fillies in Canterlot are snobs, she thinks, as she sneaks down yet another long, nondescript corridor. She wants to make a game of hopscotch with the flickering squares of the moonlight that shine so brightly through the rain-streaked window panes onto the tiled floor, but she daren't be too loud on her hooves, lest some nosy guard come and see what she's doing. She'd memorize the shadows, the places she can hide, the places she can step without making too much of a sound as she creeps from her dorm, away from where she's supposed to be. And to here, to this little, secluded balcony, one of so many in this castle, but crucially set back from any nearby windows, too far for any prying eyes to see a little yellow unicorn filly stepping out of the easily unlocked door and into the rain. To see her just standing there, with her eyes closed, feeling the water splashing on her mane, soaking her fur, washing away the tensions of yet another day in Canterlot, a rough-edged girl with a quick temper, awkward in a crowd, prone to lashing out, struggling through Princess Celestia's studies. And yet, as Celestia herself had said when she came to collect her from the farm, a unicorn with such raw potential, such staggering ability, that the princess herself had had her at top of her list of potential students for years, had come to take her away to Canterlot the very first day she was old enough. Sunset doesn't miss the farm. She doesn't miss the mud. She doesn't miss her chores, and she certainly doesn't miss the grumpy earth pony who dared to call herself her mother. But she misses the nights standing out in the rain, under the sky, the same sky every other pony in Equestria was born under. The filly never knows Princess Celestia's watching from the tower. The filly never knows the pain that runs through the princess's heart as she watches her faithful student crying alone in the rain. But the next day she'll find an extra pancake on her breakfast plate, decorated with a smiling face and a note telling her it all will be okay.
I love that.
The filly decides to work even harder, The filly will prove herself worthy of Celestia's love and trust. She's Sunset Shimmer. She will show her. She'll show them all. Look at all that turned out.
So wait,
Yeah, what's up?
is she like a student of Celestia?
Yep. She
So
was
she.
Celestia's protege before Twilight, and then she went
Oh.
rogue.
Oh. I was wondering why she was named Sunset Shimmer and, whole thing with Celestia, sun goddess, whatever.
Hell yeah.
I thought
yeah.
there was a connection.
Sunset Shimmer rolls over in bed, stretching out a hand and wiggling her fingers to relieve the cramp. The nightmares aren't so frequent now, but occasionally she'll remember her time as Celestia's pupil. The kindly glances, the encouraging whispers, the warm, feathery hugs. The time the big white alicorn would sit herself down with Sunset in the refectory when no pony else wanted to be near her. And the knowledge she spat those things back in Celestia's face makes Sunset wince in actual physical pain. Sunset knows Princess Celestia has forgiven her. Sunset knows she's not the same pony person she was back then. Sunset knows she worked hard to make things right, both with Princess Celestia and with this world's own Principal Celestia, too.
Wait, what's going on? Oh, is this,
This is when she's in Equestria Girls.
Oh,
Universe.
is it is it Principal Celestia?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Great stuff.
I was wondering why it said pony person. So they're aware that they used to be ponies?
Well, Sunset is. The others weren't ponies.
Wait, what?
Well, yeah.
Twilight and the King?
No, yeah. Twilight came over. This is basically an alternate dimension, right?
Yeah.
So Sunset came over, and then she came back and stole Twilight's crown, so Twilight and Spike went over there, and then came back, and then went over there again, and then came back, and then went over there one last time, and then, and all was well.
Okay.
Basically, yeah, alternate universe. Pretty much the same cast of characters, but different. They're humans now.
They're Moomins. I love the Moomins.
Yeah, that's what I said. Anyways, where was I? And with this world's own Principal Celestia, too. And through their work together, the principal has shown herself to be just as kind and protective of her students as her princess counterpart back in Equestria. But a familiar and unwelcome thought crosses Sunset's mind once again. A question, one that has been coming up more and more. A question that has been working hard that she's been working hard to push down. A question, she realizes, that won't go away until she tries to find an answer.
There should be another Sunset Shimmer here. Where is she?
Sunset takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly, before reaching out and pulling her heavy, leather-bound journal down from its shelf. She opens it to the first clean page. She grits her teeth. She picks up a pen. She hesitates. She winces. She thinks about chickening out. She pushes through it. She presses the pen to the paper and starts making a mark before she can change her mind. She writes,
Dear Princess Twilight, I'm sorry to be writing so late, but if I don't do this now, I'm worried I never will. I need to ask a favor of you, and I hate to do it, but you're the only one who can help me. I need to know. What happened to my parents?
The filly wishes she could remember. Sometimes she pretends to herself that she really can. Pretends so hard that she almost convinces herself. Over time, the more she tells and retells and refines and adds to the story, the more she finds herself enjoying the attention. She hates herself for feeling proud to have something to make the other fillies pity her for a change. Something the other fillies don't have. A sad, sad story. She likes seeing the would-be bullies' faces fall when they realize what a rough time she's had. She likes the attention, she likes the pity, she even likes the space she gets given when she dusts off the story. The other students, her teachers, even Princess Celestia herself.
If the house gives you an edge, you take it.
She recites from memory. One of the oh-so-many valuable life lessons she can thank her Earth Pony foster mom for planting early. Thinks Sunset bitterly. Of course, she could only remember those, but nothing about her real parents.
Thanks, Mom.
Of course, the more she works on polishing up her story, the harder she finds it when she inevitably remembers just how little she remembers. Her earliest memories are all from the farm, the rye whiskey on her foster mom's breath as she held her close, the feel of the wheat stalks against her flank the first time she ran through a field, the smell of the rain. She doesn't even remember when she realized she was different. She has hazy recollections of making things move without touching them, of getting so angry things caught fire and getting so scared they put themselves back out again. You're a wizard, Harry. Of her mom stroking her mane to calm her down after she'd gotten frightened and made a colorful light show on the barnyard wall. But she never actually tried to do a spell until Celestia showed her how. She asked Celestia how she came to be here. She asked Celestia what happened to her real parents. Celestia promised her, with a kindly smile, that she will give her all the answers she needs, all the answers she deserves, when she's older. Oh, I think I'm realizing where this is going. Sunset doesn't think this is good enough. Her parents are dead, and her foster mom is a nobody she's working hard to forget. Celestia seems nice and kind, but then so did her mom, before the belts started appearing in her life with increasing frequency. Celestia says she'll always be there for her, but then Sunset's pretty sure her real mom probably said that one time too, and look how well that turned out. No, if there's one pony Sunset Shimmer can count on, it's Sunset Shimmer. The fire pony exhales slowly and wipes a sooty wing on his jacket. Stepping over some charred timber wreckage before turning to the coroner, there are ponies gawping on the streets behind the temporary barriers as the police try to shoo them away. Fat chance. The house, or rather, what's left of it, is still sending tendrils of acrid smoke up into the sunny morning sky, and there are still blackened bits of brick and melted glass sitting where they landed, 50 yards away after the explosion.
She's a lucky, lucky little foal,
he says before realizing how that sounds.
I mean, if you can call it lucky. The parents, well, they had no chance at all. But you know how unicorn babies can be.
He mutters.
30 years on the job. 10 back in Philadelphia, 20 here in Baltimore. Is that a thing?
Uh-huh. Philadelphia, Baltimore.
I remember
Las
Philadelphia and Manhattan. First time I've heard of Baltimore. And this is only the second time I've seen something like this. Do we have a cause or? Gas line. Ruptured overnight. The boys at the plant sealed it off with magic as soon as they saw there was a problem. But it seems like it happened just as these two.
He gestures towards the carriage.
Were putting the stove on. Freak accident. Somehow the baby must have sensed something was wrong because she had a magical surge and poured it out. Teleported? Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Turned up in next door's parlor just before the walls fell down.
Both ponies look at the burnt-out, cratered wreckage of the house and fall silent for a moment before the coroner blinks her eyes, breaks the silence.
Like you said, She's a lucky fool, I guess. Pegasus or Earth Pony. Without magic, she'd have died with them. Yeah.
mutters the fire pony as he turns to walk away.
Lucky.
Sunset didn't remember how she got home, but as she shivered and pulled on her dry pajamas,
More
she
like
found...
sunset shivers.
She found she was glad she made her way back there after all. She looked at the book, still open on the bed where she'd left it. Twilight's neat, tightly packed writing, filling in all of the details, bouncing in typical Twilight fashion between cold, analytical recounting of the data. Blast radius, no chance of survival, orphanage waiting list, foreclosed farmstead in the western Maryland, and shocked, sympathetic friendship. Offering to come and see her, offering her a room in the castle.
Hold on.
Well,
Is Maryland a thing?
as far as I can remember, I don't think so.
Okay, so this one isn't real.
I guess not. Possibly. We're all so sorry. Princess Celestia has said she'll give you all the support she can. If there's anything at all I can do for you, please just... But Sunset hadn't replied. She just put the book down and walked... Oh, by the way, this book, it's like a two-way thing. You know, it's like Discord, but for different universes.
Oh. Kind of like, what was that movie?
Equestria Girls 2.
No, it was an anime movie.
Well, I do hope you figure it out soon.
Yeah. It's like my favorite movie. Almost my favorite movie of all time, and I can't remember the name.
Good job. Must really like it. And walked out into the rain to be alone with her racing thoughts. She'd thought about a human baby with no magic. She'd thought about her grave here, in this world's equivalent of Baltimore, with 3 names on it, together forever. She'd thought about whether she envied that baby. She'd thought about how maybe that wasn't what happened here at all. About how maybe, just maybe, there was a happy Sunset Shimmer living out there with her family, who never know anything about unicorns and explosions and portals and demons.
Your Name. That was the name of the movie.
Well, I mean, technically, but that was time. Spoilers for Your Name. That was more of a time thing rather than like anything like dimension hopping.
It was basically dimension. They thought it was dimension hopping.
They thought they were just hopping into each other's bodies.
Yeah, but they thought there was like a different world or something, or at least different parts of the world.
I guess, yeah. I guess we could call it similar. But at the same time, that's also just kind of what Discord is for us, you know? Discord, Skype, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Who'd never know anything about unicorns and explosions and portals and demons. She'd hoped that was the case. Maybe I was reading that. She somehow knew it wasn't, but she hoped anyway. She'd thought about taking Twilight up on her offer, heading back to Equestria, heading back to Baltimore to see if she had any living relatives. She doubted it, since she'd grown up in the care of she'd thought about maybe getting in touch with her foster mom, too, if she was still alive.
Don't do it, Sunset. You don't want to go back there. Sorry.
She'd flirted with the idea of heading out to the library, finding the papers for this world's equivalent of Baltimore, looking up to see if she had any family on this side of the portal, even if she could never actually get in touch with them, even if she was bad. She wouldn't have brought herself to terrify and bewilder some unsuspecting old aunt somewhere, just to satisfy her own curiosity.
It's whenever something like that happens in a show, you know, where someone has like some dead relatives and then they go into another universe and they're still alive. It's always so sad.
Preach. Preach. Happy Death Day too, man. But mostly, she thought she'd wish she hadn't asked. She sat down on the bed. No,
It's good that I know.
she thought. It was part of her. It was part of who she was. But only part. If her past actions didn't define her, and goodness knows how hard she'd had to work to accept that, then where she came from couldn't possibly change who she was now. She looked at herself in the mirror, realizing with a horrible jolt that the face staring back at her was the face of that of a human baby. All grown up, the young woman whose life she was now living, a life that she shouldn't have belonged to another. Wait, what? A life that should have belonged to another. How did I read that so bad? A life that should have belonged to another, now entrusted to her.
I'll make us both proud.
She said to her reflection.
I'll do this right.
She smiled at herself, and for a moment it was as if Sunset, the other Sunset, was smiling back at her. She nodded.
I promise.
The end.
Woo-wee! I thought that was cute.
It was. I really enjoyed it. And as a Sunset fan, that's a really interesting backstory for her.
At first, I thought it was going to reveal, like, oh, Celestia is her mom. And I was going to be like, I don't like that.
I thought it was maybe gonna be that Sunset was actually from the human world. And I'm glad it didn't go that route. That would have been boring.
Yeah.
Instead, it was depressing.
I think it was bittersweet.
On to the second one. You can read this one if you want.
Promise?
Yeah, sure. This one is called May Those Who Step Through This Door Know What It Means to Rule by Titanium Dragon.
Titanium Dragon!
Oh my gosh! Do we know that?
They wrote another story that we read, right?
Maybe. Which one are we thinking?
I'm not sure. I think. I recognize the name, sort of.
I'm looking through their stories. Can't see it yet. That's right. It was our first one. Dying to get
really?
there. Yeah.
Man, and it's our last one now.
Huh. That doesn't mean anything. Well, welcome back to the show, Titanium Dragon. Good to see you.
I'm waiting for them to respond.
Just continue.
All right.
Twilight peered into the dark cavern, the light of her horn only barely illuminating the hole in the side of the mountain. Water slowly dribbled down glistening stalactites, clinging to the slick stone before tumbling down to the tiny pools below. The smell of wet stone clung to the stagnant air. Not a whiff of the wind that whistled around the peak outside touched the interior of the cave.
Hello? Is any pony there?
Ah, Twilight Sparkle.
Twilight started whirling around.
Started. It's an expression.
That's what I said.
Should have been Twilight started. Whirling around.
I tried to do that. It's like,
Twilight started whirling around.
Whatever. Princess Luna.
She took a step towards her before she stopped, blinking.
Wait, where's Princess Celestia? I thought she'd be here too.
my sister is otherwise engaged.
Luna raised her...
Oh my gosh, who is it?
What?
Engaged.
Oh.
It's a thing you do before you get married.
Oh, is that what that means? I thought it meant sex. Anyway.
Luna raised her head imperiously.
Is that a problem?
No, no problem at all. I just wasn't expecting you. Well, just you.
All right, where'd you get at all from? It doesn't say at all.
I don't know.
Twilight chuckled nervously as Luna arched an eyebrow.
And why is that?
Well, no reason, I guess.
Luna narrowed her eyes.
Twilight, speak plainly.
Twilight's ears fell as she sighed, slowly running her hoof over the stone.
I just wanted to see her.
I see. I'm a disappointment. Ugh.
No, it didn't say that.
Yep.
I see.
Luna strode forward.
You do realize that as a princess of Equestria, you need not beg for an audience. You may seek her out and speak freely.
Man, wait, you're playing Luna. It's like, she sounds like a dick.
Isn't she, though?
I mean, I certainly think so, but I don't think anyone in the fandom thinks that.
I'm trying to make her sound like the Wicked Witch of the West. And her
Yeah,
sister
well.
is the Good Witch of the East, Glinda. Even though they weren't sisters.
She
Whatever.
wasn't of the East, but whatever.
Oh, no, yeah, Good Witch of the North. Wicked Witch
Yeah.
of the East was her actual sister. But I don't
Or the
think
Good Witch of the
Celestia is
South.
wicked. Is there a Good Witch of the South? Because I've never figured that out.
There's a whole... It's in the book.
Okay.
Actually, fun fact, in the movie, they made Glinda into the Good Witch of the North when she was the Good Witch of the South. They basically
Oh.
combined the Witch of the North and the Witch of the South into one character in the film.
Okay. I always wanted to know who the Good Witch of the South was.
Well, now you do. And they made her so much worse. Glinda sucks
Did
in
they?
the movie. Yeah.
I kind of love
I
her
hate
in the
Glinda.
movie because she's just like, ooh, you killed someone, and now you're wearing slippers and everyone's after you, but I'm good.
Yeah, but then it reveals at the end that she had the answer the whole time. She's a bitch.
Oh, yeah. That's why I love her, because she's fake.
Oh,
She's a
sure.
big old
You
phony.
can love her because she's a bitch. But
No,
I can't
I-
love what's her name from A Silent Voice.
Oh, God. Okay, I don't like her as a person. I find her hilarious. How they treat her as if she actually is good.
I know that. I just don't want to waste your time. Sorry, I was getting bored.
Twilight looked away.
And yet you feel it is necessary to vet your every decision through her by letter.
Luna's voice was neutral, but Twilight flinched anyway.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't making any mistakes.
Twilight mumbled. Luna sighed.
Ha! It is as I feared.
What?
Luna shook her head sadly as she stepped deeper into the cave.
Do you know what this place is?
Nope.
Twilight said as she trotted after her, peering at the walls as they moved towards the back of the cavernous space.
I didn't even know these caves existed until I saw them on the map you sent me.
Luna nodded her head slowly.
These are the caves where our ancestors first learned about harmony.
Harmony? I don't know why I did that. I felt it natural.
Maybe it means something to you. Something deep.
Wasn't even a reference.
Twilight stopped mid-step.
Wait, what? The caves that the three tribes took shelter in were under Unicornia. Every pony knows that. Okay, so there's this whole thing about Equestria, right? So there were three tribes, right? There were Earth ponies, Pegasi, unicorns, right? And they really hated each other, right? So it got super cold due to these magic flying horse boys, right? They were all like making the place cold. And it was because the three tribes hated each other. And so the three tribes went out and to look for a new home. And they found this cave, right?
Yeah.
But due to them hating each other and coincidentally finding the same cave, they all started bickering. And eventually, the three other guys that weren't the leaders were like, all right, let's just hug it out, guys. And they hugged and stuff like that. And then the whole magic of friendship and harmony and stuff like that was like, bam, magic. And the Wendigos went away.
Beautiful. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, then.
And that is where we are.
Luna's horn ignited, casting its pale blue light across the cave like a beacon. Two unicorns reared out of the darkness, the dim light playing across their stony forms as they stood frozen, forever standing guard over whatever lay beyond. Twilight stared at the statues, her mouth agape.
That's impossible. Unicornia was renamed Canterlot when you and Princess Celestia became rulers of the three tribes.
That is correct, Twilight Sparkle.
Luna said as she strode forward, her eyes locked on the tunnel beyond the statues.
But Canterlot was not the first city the unicorns built. Before Canterlot, this was a Unicornia.
Twilight trotted after Luna.
If there was a city here, why aren't there any ruins?
She glanced up at the statue.
Other than this, I mean.
Because they were fools.
What do you mean?
Twilight asked, her eyes moving back to the taller alicorn as Luna's horn scattered its light down the passage ahead. Luna flicked her tail.
The unicorns of old wanted a city that could compare to the one that the Pegasi were building in the clouds, one that exemplified their might and majesty. They did not want to be looked down on, but seen as the equals,
Nay, could she the horse?
nay, superiors of the ponies with wings. And so they built their city here, perched high on one of the tallest mountains in all of Equestria.
Well, it always seemed a little impractical. But Canterlot is still standing. Obviously, it is possible to build a city above the clouds.
Oh, I wish we actually could. That would be beautiful.
That would be pretty rad.
Possibly, yes, but not the way they built it. They rejected the science of the architects. Any city that could be built by earth ponies, no matter how grand, would not suit them. And so they built Unicornia, the first and last city to rely on magic alone.
So they're like the Amish, not relying on electricity, but they're not relying on... I get it now.
Yeah, you got it.
It's quite deep. You have to have
Yeah,
a high
yeah,
IQ to understand My Little Pony.
Yeah, no doubt, yeah.
Luna's horn flared as she swept her hoof across the passage. Silvery light began to trickle down the walls of the passageway, the glowing magic flooding into cracks and recesses in the stone walls. As Twilight's eyes focused on the patterns, they seemed to come alive, thin strings of light flowing along the cracks, moving down and up against gravity. The lines and curves began to come together, forming the image of hundreds of ponies standing at the base of a great mountain, their horns all glowing with the same silvery light as tall spires and impossibly thin bridges took form. Twilight gasped.
Is that really what the city looked like?
So I'm told.
Luna said as she continued to stride down the passage. Twilight stared at the image on the wall for several long moments before hurrying after the larger pony down the newly lit hallway.
But that's impossible. The city would have fallen down overnight without
Twilight stopped again, her eyes widening.
the whole city?
Indeed. Every morn and eve, the ponies of Unicornia would have a great ritual, so that their home might remain one more day,
Sorry, flashbacks?
Luna said as she continued to stride past the images. Twilight licked her lips as she followed close on the elder alicorn's tail, glancing down at her hooves to make sure she didn't stumble on the ancient stone steps. The crudely worked stone marred by millennia of the slow drip of water from the cave above.
So, what happened?
Ponies left,
Luna shrugged.
with their reserves of magic depleted by the ritual. Few unicorns could lead the life to which they had been accustomed. With fewer ponies came a greater need for magic amongst those who remained. In time, all moved to New Unicornia, the city now called Canterlot, and the place was allowed to fall into ruin. It did not take long without magic.
After this, I'm going to show you a video of Luna.
Of Luna?
Yes, just to show you how pitch perfect your impression is.
Yes! I knew I was getting it right.
Huh, that's a little anticlimactic. I was expecting, like, an earthquake or something.
Not every city is lost to Wendigos.
Yeah, those guys.
The tunnel leveled out as the images on the wall of ponies flocking from all corners of Equestria to the great city began to fade, the silvery flow of magic leaking from the walls and back into the stone once more, leaving nothing but the dim glow of Luna's horn to light their way once more.
So, why did you invite me here? I know it wasn't just for a history lesson.
No, it was.
Oh, well, fuck. That was improv.
Yes, it was.
More so than you think.
Luna strode forward as the tunnel opened with a great cavern, her horn blazing with blue light. Natural stone walls sloped up and away into the darkness, and a cozy warmth began to fill the room as the alicorn stepped over a thick line carved into the stone floor, and stepped up onto a stone platform. Her metal-shod hooves clicked loudly on the granite as she strode towards the center of the room, the bright light of her horn illuminating a stone arch tall enough for even Princess Celestia to step through without ducking.
What is this place?
Twilight asked, glancing round the dark cave. Luna tilted her head high, her mane flowing behind her on ethereal winds. Magic coruscated around her horn as the same silvery light which had illuminated the carvings in the tunnel began to flow down through the 3 deep channels cut into the floor. Behind her, the doorway sprang to life as pink light began to leak from the carvings of 6 ponies on the frame, 2 Pegasi hovering above the top, joined by 2 earth ponies on the right and 2 unicorns on the left. Golden armor gleamed on the ancient rendition of Commander Hurricane, his head held high as he gazed down on the other ponies.
Is Commander Hurricane like the big boss?
Yeah, big boss for the sky ponies. Pegasi,
Okay.
that's the name.
The platinum crown of Princess Platinum shone on her imperious brow, and Chancellor Puddinghead's hat seemed to...
I read ripple as nipple.
seemed to ripple in the magic's glow. Inside the portal, a sheik of pink light throbbed. Veins of magic flickered around the edges of the doorway. Forming bright letters that burned against the stone.
May those who step through this door know what it means to rule. Thank you.
Welcome to the Cave of Harmony, Princess Twilight Sparkle.
Luna boomed, her voice reverberating off the bare stone walls. Twilight slowly turned around. Her eyes flicked across the vast, empty space, the cave devoid of any sign of life but the 2 ponies standing near the glowing portal.
Wait, is this Luna? Yeah, this is Luna.
Long ago, the rulers of the 3 tribes would come here when they took power, with representatives from every tribe gathered as their witnesses. The gate would be activated, and they would step through, and come to know what it meant to rule. Every commander, every chancellor, every princess was to come to this place, step through the doorway, and be enlightened.
Why haven't I read about this?
Luna laughed humorously.
It's my best witch laugh. How do you like it?
Good job. Yeah, it was great.
Even by my time, it was an old tale. Not every pony who stepped through the doorway came to understand what it meant, and over time, the tradition faded, then failed as ponies forgot what it meant to rule.
She straightened, looking down at Twilight imperiously.
By the time of Discord's arrival in Equestria, the place had been forgotten, the gate lost.
Twilight looked back to the gate as pink sparks cracked against the polished stone.
Why didn't they move it? Why didn't they bring it to Canterlot?
Because it is inextricably linked to this place.
Luna waved her hoof across the room.
This place where the 3 tribes met and fell to quarreling over who deserved the greatest portion of the cave.
She snorted.
You can even see where the rock that stymied their borders once lay.
Twilight blinked and followed Luna's hoof. eyes settling on a kink in the line halfway across the cave.
Wow. I thought they made that up for the play.
I'm afraid not.
Luna tossed her head.
One by one, the leaders of Equestria decided it was too much to travel up a distant mountain and down into a cold cave for a ceremony, when they could simply tell their successors all that they learned by stepping through. But I suspect that, without the experience, the lessons of the gate were lost all the faster.
Twilight licked her lips, lifting her head to meet Luna's gaze.
Did you and Princess Celestia ever step through?
We did. Long ago, in the darkest days of Discord's misrule.
Discord's misrule? Was Discord the leader?
He took over the place. Made everything chaotic and stuff like that.
Huh. We found this place, and activated in the hopes that our long-dead ancestors might share with us some wisdom.
Twilight slowly stepped towards the gate, tilting her head.
So, has Cadence been here?
Luna hesitated for a moment before shaking her head.
No, I don't think so. Celestia seemed surprised at the idea that I might take you to the portal and show you our secrets, so I do not believe that Cadence had been here.
Her eyes hardened.
But I believe Cadence already has learned the lesson of the gate the hard way.
And I haven't?
Nope.
Luna shook her head.
We rule Equestria, but in truth it is Celestia and I who rule, and you who stand aside, save when crisis beckons.
I know I'm not much of a princess.
Twilight's ears drooped.
You do yourself a great disservice. You do many things for Equestria, Twilight Sparkle, but you forget yourself, and you look to us for aid and succor.
Sucker.
And succor.
I don't know how that's supposed to be pronounced.
Succor. Just so that the people know what word it is.
I think she's calling Twilight a sucker, but I can't tell.
You are uncertain, and you second-guess your decisions, beseeching my sister for guidance even when you already know the answer for truth. You may be a princess, but you do not think of yourself as our equal, and when you speak to my sister, princess lingers on your lips.
Wait, why wouldn't she call Princess Celestia princess? Princesses can call each other princesses, right?
I mean, sure they can. But, they're on equal footing.
But
It's just like, why bother,
yeah, I guess they're just calling her Cadence, aren't they?
Yep.
I don't like that. That just shows disrespect, in my opinion. All right, where was I? Oh.
Twilight swallowed audibly.
And this will change all that?
That swallow wasn't a very audible.
Gulp.
Luna stepped towards the portal, lifting one hoof to slowly trail it along the carved stone.
Once you step through this gate, you will be our equal in every way. Save experience. There will be no part of rulership that will be more a mystery to you than it was to us when we came to power, all those centuries ago.
Will it change me?
No more than it changed us.
Luna said, turning back towards the smaller alicorn. Twilight looked down at her hooves for a moment.
I see.
Slowly, she lifted her head, then squared her shoulders.
All I have to do is walk through the portal.
No, but the rest will be obvious once you do.
All right.
Twilight closed her eyes and let the air rush out of her lungs before she took a long, deep breath and nodded her head.
I'm ready.
No, you ain't.
Good.
Luna took a step back, touching her horn to the side of the doorframe.
Whenever you are ready.
She just said she was ready, stupid.
All right. Here goes.
Nodding her head to herself, Twilight took one step forward, then another. Brilliant pink and purple light filled her vision, but Twilight forced herself to keep her eyes open against the blinding glare. Another step, and the portal was before her, filling her entire
Oh,
field
maybe
of
I
view.
should have mentioned you should close your eyes.
Yeah, it's been so long she forgot about that part. It's not really her fault.
Whoops, slipped her mind.
Clenching her teeth, she took one more step forward, extending her front hoof towards the thin pane of magic before she stepped through. A kaleidoscope of colors flashed around her, Magic of every color ponies had seen, and more, besides whirling around her as the magic crashed and crackled overhead. A purple heart hung in the air overhead, soon joined by a silver spear, a silvery crown, and a set of plowshares, whirling around, then bursting up towards the ceiling before exploding in a dazzling display of magical fireworks.
Woo!
Shimmering sparkles of magic clung to her coat, and Twilight's mane and tail shimmered and sparkled with inner light, flowing on the same ethereal wind as Luna's own before slowly falling back to her neck. Twilight blinked, shaking her head to clear her eyes of the lingering blotches of color that clouded her vision. And now she's blind. Oops. The light from the portal slowly began to fade, the silver lines of the floor draining away beneath the stone platform. Soon there was no light but the dull blue of Luna's horn as the older alicorn watched and waited expectantly. Twilight looked around the room, then back at the doorway, then back at Luna.
That's it?
Indeed.
But nothing happened.
She stamped her hoof on the floor. Luna arched an eyebrow.
Did you not see the pretty lights? The variegated colors of the rainbow spilling across the room?
Of course I saw it, but it was all an illusion. There wasn't anything there. No magic knowledge, no new powers. I don't feel any different.
Come on. How do you not feel different after all that? That was beautiful. Sure, it had some emotional reaction on you anyway.
Indeed.
Twilight opened her mouth, then stopped.
What?
You experienced the same thing as 10 generations of equestrian leaders, onto whose shoulders the mantle of leadership was laid.
But it didn't do anything.
Twilight shouted.
I'm exactly the same as I was before I stepped through. And you're telling me I went halfway across Equestria to see a light show?
Yes.
Twilight shook, her wings lifting from her sides.
Why?
What do you think?
Luna regarded her coolly.
Yeah, very cool.
Twilight huffed a few times, breathing heavily as she paced back and forth in front of the gateway.
This isn't a trick?
No, you are every bit our equal, save in experience.
But nothing changed. I'm exactly the same as I was before, just more sparkly.
Indeed.
Come on, how do you not get it, Twilight?
Luna stepped forward, brushing past the smaller alicorn.
For all the magic and glamour, no pony who rules is any different from those who don't. And that is the most important lesson of all. There is no magic to rulership, no secret knowledge. A leader is no more than a pony who's in charge, who every pony else trusts to hold all the answers.
Luna glanced back over her shoulder and smiled.
Welcome to the throne, Twilight Sparkle.
This is bullshit.
I think that was pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah, maybe a bit.
I liked it, but I was also kind of, I don't know.
I mean, at least it wasn't like 5 chapters before getting to here, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I for a short story, I think it's good. I learned about My Little Pony from it. And about leadership.
Yep. Good job, Wizzy.
I'm learning.
Maybe someday you'll be the one who takes over this podcast. In my old age.
But Princess Ross Lestia.
Just call me Ross, please.
Okay, Princess Ross.
Just call me Ross.
Okay.
Dad.
And that is how you call back a joke. Even if it was unintentional.
No, that was intentional, right?
Oh, good.
Why else would I... Never mind.
Now I have to leave that joke from the beginning in.
You have to. Come on.
I was thinking of cutting it, but now I guess I have to. So, that was 2 good stories. I'd say one is better than the other.
I think the first one was better, in my opinion.
Because of Sunset.
I think that the dialogue was written really well in this one. They seem to be good at writing but there wasn't much substance to it, and that's what kind of disappointed me. The first one, I don't think there was enough dialogue. Maybe that's just because I didn't get to say much, but, kind of mad about that.
Yeah, I see.
Definitely drew more emotion from me.
Yeah. Something interesting. We have read a lot of like stuff that's like kind of, I don't want to say existential, but like pretty otherworldly, and they delve into like deep topics and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's very
I was
artsy.
expecting the second one to be like that, like the pinnacle of that stuff that we've read. It kind of isn't.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting it to be a lot more in the deep philosophical side than it ended up being. And I think that's a nice change of pace, you know?
Yeah. I get that.
Maybe they expected it to be, or they thought it was a bit more deep and philosophical than I did.
Actually, yeah. You're kind of making me look at it differently, and I can respect it a lot more, because I think they were looking to make it anticlimactic, because she is their equal, as all ponies are.
Yeah. But yeah, that was these two fics. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for listening to the Ross Pitt and Wizzy Puff Fanfiction Power Hour. See you next time, guys.
Bye!